Then all of a sudden, I hear I'm hit. I don't know how long it was. It seemed like it was an hour, but it was probably, a couple minutes, something like that. I hear I'm hit. I'm hit
on the radio.
Something like that. The radio. So I start, over the radio, I start saying, hey, everybody fall back. Fall back doesn't mean retreat. It just means fall back to where you can get better cover and concealment so we can take it to the enemy again.
Right.
And then it happens again, and this is from somewhere else. And I'm like, I sort of recognize that, but I'm engaged. I can't, I can barely move because there's just one guy after another, and they're popping up all over the place. And there's, it was just everywhere. Just to think about this, there was so many targets of opportunity right there. 10 feet away from me was a tree. And I remember seeing this guy pop out. I immediately turned, put two, right there. Continue to go back to the right, continue to cover down on all the other flashes that I was seeing. Then all of a sudden I see flash over here. And the guy was on the other side of the tree. And I'm like, did I miss? So, engage again. Continue on. He pops out on the other side of the tree. And I'm like, what is going on? How am I not hitting this guy? So, I start unloading this time. Maybe the two is not taking him down, something, and then it happens again on the other side of the tree. And I remember it was the first time I've ever done this. I actually put my EOTech on IR. I was like, am I missing? Am I not seeing this right? So I put it on IR, engaged again, saw him go down, was like, all right, it's fine. So then we continued to do everything, getting, what I found out was my team leader, he was injured, and then hearing that Robbie had gotten hit as well. And again, you got to read his story so you can understand what exactly he did. So, here we are.
But in essence, but if I can.
Yeah, by all means.
In essence, Robbie, this is me, an outsider looking in, right? Having read a ton of information on this. So he had a saw, right?
Yeah.
And so saws are it's belt fed, but it's a little shorter, and it also it's very loud.
Yes, and he had a short barrel on it.
And he had a shorty on it. Yeah,
he had a shorty on it, so it was just blasting fire.
Yeah, so it's super loud. So if he's going to shoot, and somebody else is say over here with an M4, this is going to draw more fire. He inherently knew that, and so he wanted to create space. He wanted as much dead space as possible between the assaulting element, which is now you guys, because you guys are together, and him as a single. So he created as much dead space as he could to draw fire away from you guys, so you guys could reset, draw back, get some cover, reorganize. Right.
Well, that, and just to put it into perspective, he had a shorty saw which shoots a 5.56, and it was incredibly loud. And right before we went on this mission, me as the 18 Bravo, I said, hey, everybody put your suppressors on. It reduces your flash, so you can't even see flash, and reduces your sound, so they can't pinpoint you on where you're at. So when Robbie started shooting, all the enemy they saw him, biggest threat, and they all started going after him.
And he just ran out and he
went straight
ahead, and he set up shop and just put it down.
Yeah. Yep. So, this goes on for a little while, a good, it seemed like it took forever, but again, it was probably 5-10 minutes. It might've been longer. And finally I'm to the point where I can start to pull back a little bit. I was sitting there, engaging, and this is when Rob and another, teammate of mine, big old, he's 6'4", 245 pounds of just steel, big old, like if he moves, they're going to see, and he's like, cover me, I'm going to go get Robbie. And literally I'm like, I got you. So I push up a little bit further towards the enemy, to make sure that I'm engaging as much as I can as Rob and Hav go and try to help out Robbie. So they continue to do that. All of a sudden,
Rob Gutierrez, our multitasker.
The ultimate multitasker. What I like to call him, the super chief.
Super chief. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm fine. I'm starting to get pinned down. It's right in front of me. Fire's coming in all over the place. I've got one Afghan next to me who does not speak English at all. His name is Saifuddin. A fantastic guy. I mean, he was just an incredible person. Well, he's right next to me, and he's like, "Go!" And I'm like, I grabbed him because I had body armor on. Literally, just grabbed him and dragged him down, and said, "Get out of here." And he said, "No, you go," because that's the way that the Afghans were. Especially if you were friends with them, they were loyal to the bone, same as we are to them. Well, all of a sudden, maybe not even 20 meters in front of me, 15 meters in front of me, the whole mountainside just blows up. And I'm like, oh, God. I don't know what to do. I mean, that was just, what is happening? What kind of weapon do they have up there? Is it a rail gun? Like, what? And then I hear, brrr.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's an A-10.
Yeah.
Oh, they can't see me. And that was really, really close. So I tell Saifuddin, again, who doesn't speak English, turn my effing strobe on.
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, sir. Because he understood it. He starts turning my strobe on. And then we start basically low crawling backwards as another A-10, another A-10, and another A-10. And then rockets go off. Well, I finally get behind some cover, and I'm like, okay, we got to, let's regroup. So I get back to the casualty collection point. That's where I see Bob, who's our team leader. He shot up. A couple other guys are there, and they're like, all right. And I'm like, this is what we're going to do. You guys are going to cover me. I'm going to carry Bob down to that brick wall, which is maybe 15 meters, 10 to 15 meters at the max. So Bob is shot down through his shoulder, and we didn't know this, but right there's all sorts of bad stuff right here. Mm-hmm. You can get shot. Somehow missed all that, went through his lungs. So he's starting to struggle. So I pick up Bob.
Was there an exit wound?
Yeah, there was. So
at least it came out.
It was out. I think it was out. I want to say it was out that side. I forget. So I carry Bob down, and we get down behind some extra cover a little bit further away from the fatal. It wasn't really a fatal funnel, but the kill zone, and get the other guys back. Then I see Rob Gutierrez coming back around this way with Hav, and at this point we're starting. Okay, what's going on? Where's Robbie? Don't know where Robbie is. We see somebody. One guy's got his saw. Where's Robbie? And we're like, all right, well, we can't leave, but we've got a seriously wounded guy.
Yeah, we
need to get him out. So the first thing was to sit there, basically establish where we were. We had Overwatch, which with the trucks that we originally came in on, and these guys, if it wouldn't have been for John, Eric, Tim, Jeff, if it wouldn't have been for those guys, they were our support at that point.
I think you got some long shooters too in there somewhere. Some team guys. Weren't there some? Somebody had. I didn't get this from you guys. I heard from somebody else. Maybe Rob Gutierrez told me this. Anyway, there were some guys there with some sniper rifles that were offset too. Weren't they trying to help out as well?
Yeah, well, we had Barretts in the back of the truck. I think I'd taken the sniper rifle out and put it in Saifuddin's hands because he was actually that good as an Afghan shooter. We could give him an M24 and he was dead accurate. So these guys, again, we would have been overrun if it wouldn't have been for them.
Yeah, and where you guys are fighting now where you guys are fighting now to where the vehicles are that you dismounted.
They were literally right across the river.
So
think about a bend in a river.
100 meters?
Maybe. Maybe I'd say about 100 meters, 150 meters. Think about a bend in the river, and that bend in the river, and then it goes into like basically a terraced, farmland that's on the other side of the river. Well, they were right on the road on the one side of the river. We were on the other side. Again, it was 900 meters or close to 600 to 800 meters to the bridge, and then another 600 to 800 meters back. So it was not an easy jaunt just to go back and forth.
Yeah,
I mean it was a good time, and not to mention there was a lot of dudes there. So we established what we needed to do. We called in the first medevac. We had to drop a couple more bombs in order to get the the you know the medevac clearance to be able to land because it was pretty hairy. In fact, I spoke to one of the pilots that came in the first time, and he said, I've flown into a football stadium before, and everybody's taking pictures. And he said, it was exactly like that, flying into that valley. Everybody was taking pictures, but we knew it wasn't pictures because we were taking rounds.
Wow.
So these medevac pilots, I don't know who they were, but they were angels for sure. They came in and they got, I think we had 2 or 3 Afghans that had gotten hit too. We got them out there, Afghan National Army. We got our team leader out, and then one other guy that got hit. So then now we're down from basically 8 team guys to 6. We've got to go get Rob, period. It was too hairy at first, but we had to go back up into that area. So we called in a QRF. They came in. They were, some other guys, usual suspects, say that.
Yeah.
They came in. We met up with them, gave them a quick, hey, this is what we're doing. It's me and my warrant officer, Joe, and Jim, my team sergeant. Now, if you look at the citation or the website, there's a video that shows everything that happened up until Robbie got hit. And then after that, it just kind of, generically just has a whole blob of us going down. We acted like a team. We spread out. We did exactly what we needed to do. We set up where we needed to be for the CCP to regain control of a very, very nasty situation.
CCP is a casualty collection point. How far from the CCP was the medevac where the helicopter actually landed?
They landed like pretty much right on top of us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So how the terraces are in Afghanistan.
Yeah. Now I've never been there, okay. but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like Green Zone, Afghanistan, similar to Iraq and other places.
Yep.
Terrorist areas, and they landed right there. We got them up, got them out of there.
Yeah.
So when we regrouped, we went back up there. We went back similar areas, but I remember telling Joe, I was like, I'll be right back, because I had to go check out and see if I was missing, that one guy that kept popping in and out behind the tree. Well, it turns out there was 4 guys.
4 guys stacked up behind that tree.
There's 4 guys stacked up behind the tree. I thought it was 1. And I kept missing him, but it was not. It was actually 4 guys.
Yeah, were they now stacked up horizontally?
They were stacked up next to each other, a little bit different. So we went up. We got Robbie. We started to peel back, and then we get hit again. RPG hits. RPG landed not even 2 or 3 feet away from me. I literally heard it. I heard the pop, and looked at it. And as I looked at it, it blew up. It scratched my nose right here, and that was it. No, it scratched my cheek. It scratched Joe, my warrant officer's nose. Like, he was bleeding a little bit, I was bleeding a little bit. And then it shot forward, and it ended up injuring like 3 or 4 other guys. And then, some of the QRF guys got shot too. So now we've taken more casualties. We've got Robbie, but now we've got another, team guy, 2 more Afghans, some other QRF guys that are all injured. And we're like, oh gosh, what is happening? And I remember at one point, so I had run through basically I wasn't a football player, but I acted like a football player then. And I started just checking people off the road just to get them into cover, because they just kind of stopped, didn't know what to do. So, and I will say this, the Afghans that were holding Robbie, I saw them specifically. They didn't just drop him and run. They placed him down, and then they got cover, and then they pulled him, behind. They were so respectful. It's something to see. It's one of those little things that you see in combat that it's like time stops. You're like, wow. So here we are. We've got to regroup. We've got to do this again. Let's get the CCP. I go up. I remember seeing, I think it's 3 of the QRF, and they're in the center of this little trail road, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And like, there's fire going on all over the place. They're out in the open. They're like, he got shot. And I'm like, well, you take my spot and I'll go up there. So I covered for them, so they could have my spot to work on their guy because he was shot, I think, through and through on the leg. You know, and then I came back around, started, I rendered some aid to another teammate of ours, Nick, and you know, here we are, we're having to do this again. I look over at Robbie, and he's just like, he's exhausted.